In a quiet village near Alakwe River, people woke before the first rooster crowed. Farmers rose to tend their crops, traders prepared their stores, and children ran to school as soon as the sun climbed the sky. But in the middle of the village stood a small brown house with its windows always shut during the day. Inside lived Ajoke, a young lady who did the opposite of everyone else. While others worked, she slept. And while others slept, she walked alone through the village paths. Silent as a shadow, her feet knew every corner of the land. People whispered about her. Some said she was cursed. Some said she was dangerous. Children were warned not to go near her house, and traders avoided her path at night. Only Baba Shegun, the oldest man in the village, did not fear her. He often sat outside his hut at night, watching her pass quietly, her face calm but heavy, as if carrying a burden no one could see. He believed there was more to her strange life than fear, but the village was not ready to listen. As days passed, the rumors grew stronger. One morning, Ayo the village hunter returned from the forest with fear in his eyes. He claimed he had seen Ajoke standing by the river at midnight, whispering words he could not understand. Soon others added their own story. Some said they heard her singing to the sun, others to the moon. Others said dogs howled whenever she passed. Fear spread faster than the truth, and soon people began to blame her for every small problem in the village, from spoiled crops to sick goats. Ajoke felt the change. She noticed how people turned their faces away whenever a path crossed theirs while she was on her way back from her night walks in the early hours of the day. Children no longer greeted her, and even the air around her felt heavy. Still, she said nothing. She returned home, closed her windows, and slept while the sun washed over a village that no longer trusted her. Yet, deep inside, she knew this silence was part of her duty, even though the pain of being misunderstood pressed hard on her heart. One night, during a village festival, the talking drum suddenly split apart while being played. The crowd gasped, and silence fell like a heavy cloth. Drums were sacred, and such a thing had never happened before. Ayo pointed towards Ajoke's house and shouted that this was a bad sign. Others quickly agreed, claiming her strange habits had angered the gods. Fear turned into anger, and some people began to demand that she be chased out of the village. Baba Shegun asked everyone to be calm, but few listened. The village chief, confused and pressured, promised to call the elders to discuss what must be done. That night, Ajoke walked through the village path as usual, but this time, she felt eyes watching her from every dark corner. She did not stop. She did not turn. She did not run. She only whispered softly to the night, as if asking it to stay patient a little longer. Soon after, heavy rain fell without warning. Rivers rose and water rushed through the farms and homes. Fields were destroyed, and several homes near the river were swept away. People cried and blamed Ajoke. They said she had called the rain with her strange whispers. Fear turned into hatred, and hatred turned into actions. Some villagers began planning to confront her and force her to leave. That same night, while the flood waters still moved angrily, Ajoke walked barefoot to the river bank. She stood in the rain, her clothes soaked, her eyes closed. She whispered words best known to her. Slowly, the river calmed. By morning, the rain had stopped and the water level dropped enough for people to return to their work. But instead of gratitude, many felt more fear, believing her power was dangerous and should not exist among them. Baba Shegun could no longer remain silent. He called Ajoke to his hut before sunrise, when others were still asleep. He came quietly and knelt in respect before him. He looked at her deeply and asked, "Child, how long have you carried this burden alone?" For the first time, Ajoke spoke. She told him how some years ago she began receiving dreams after a strange illness. In those dreams, she was told that her spirit worked best at night, when the world was quiet and open to messages. She explained that her daytime sleep was not a choice, but a sacrifice. She slept to recover from the night's unseen battles her spirit traveled to fight, protecting the people and the village, warning of danger, calming storms, and blocking sickness before it spread. Baba Shegun listened carefully, and he believed her completely, for he had seen signs in old books and sacred carvings that spoke of a night watcher, a guardian who would rise when others slept. Not long after, a strange sickness spread through the village. Almost everyone was down. Fear returned, stronger than before. Some said it was punishment. Some said Ajoke had finally decided to harm them. In anger and desperation, a group of villagers marched to her house during the day while she slept, shouting and hitting her door, demanding she leave or face punishment. Ajoke did not respond. He was in a deep sleep because the previous night's fight had been a tough one, which later overpowered her because the people she fought to protect were against her. She had taken some herbs to help her relax well before falling asleep. That night, while her body was still weak from the previous night's battle, she sat by the river, but her spirit stood at the edge of the village, blocking the sickness from moving further. By morning, many people began to recover. Gradually, the sickness faded like smoke in the wind. But the villagers did not know the truth behind this sudden healing. The village chief finally called a meeting at the village square. Ajoke was brought before everyone. Ayo accused her of being a witch. Others shouted that she was dangerous and should be sent away. The crowd grew louder and fear filled the air. Ajoke stood quietly, her head lowered, her hands steady, even as her heart felt heavy with pain. Then Baba Shegun stepped forward. He spoke slowly but clearly, telling the story of the night watcher, the guardian spirits mentioned in ancient writings. He explained Ajoke's sacrifice and her role in protecting the village. Some laughed, some doubted, but before anyone could decide, a loud cry came from the edge of the square. A child had collapsed, shaking and unable to breathe. Panic rushed, and the crowd froze in fear. Ajoke, though still weak, rushed to the child. The sun was high, and she was exhausted. She was supposed to be resting to regain her strength, but here she was, being accused wrongly. She placed her hands over the child's chest and whispered softly. Nothing happened. Her face grew pale. She realized her power worked fully only at night. She begged the chief to allow her go and come back by night, but the villagers echoed no, saying she wanted to go strengthen her powers and come back for revenge. She then pleaded to stay until nightfall. They refused, but Baba Shegun stepped in and requested that a mat be brought for her so she could rest while waiting for nightfall. She lay on the mat, and in seconds she slept off. As it began to grow dark, Ajoke woke up. She turned around and noticed only a few villagers waiting alongside Baba Shegun. Others had gotten tired and left. She thanked them and requested the child who had collapsed earlier, but she was told he was rushed to a healer for a cure. She rushed there, followed by Baba Shegun and the villagers present. He immediately sat beside the child, placed her hand on him, and whispered some words. She scooped some sand from the earth with both hands and asked the child's mother to spit on it 7 times, rubbed them together, whispered to the mixture, and pasted some on the child's forehead, chest, palms, and under feet. Within seconds, he sneezed and sat up to the amazement of everyone watching. Fear immediately began to change into wonder, and for the first time, people saw her not as a threat but as a protector. After that night, everything changed. The village elders asked Ajoke to explain her gift, and this time people listened. She told them about the dream, the warnings, and the sacrifices she made while they slept peacefully. She fought dangers alone in the dark. Many now understood what Baba Shegun meant when he advised them not to judge quickly. Ayo, who once accused her, knelt and apologized. The chief apologized publicly also. Children who once feared her now greeted her with smiles. Ajoke did not hold anger. She only smiled gently. Her heart finally lighter. The village decided to honor her as their ninth guardian, giving her a place of respect instead of fear. From that day on, Ajoke continued to sleep during the day and worked at night. But now, she was no longer alone. People left lamps outside their homes at night to guide her paths. They whispered prayers for her protection instead of curses. When storms threatened, they trusted her. When sickness tried to return, they believed in her sacrifice. Ajoke did not ask for praise or reward. She only wished for understanding. The village learned that not all blessings come in forms we understand, and not all heroes wear crowns or speak loudly. Some walk in silence, in darkness, while others sleep. They also learn not to judge people by what they lack understanding of, and that wisdom should be respected, even when it feels uncomfortable. Because fear often grows from ignorance, not truth. From that day, the people who lived beside Alakwe River never stopped talking about the woman who slept in the day so others could live in peace. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more interesting stories.